what's one thing that I've noticed about my clients since the beginning of the pandemic? I would say that because we're all forced to limit drastically the activities and the things that we used to do and enjoy, many of us are probably feeling like we're not able to live our full selves. And so one of the things that I've noticed is that people are coming with a lot more feelings of uncertainty, feeling that they're feeling a little bit lost, and in some cases feeling anxious because sometimes we put very high standards on ourselves and we expect things to be the same and we act as if they're the same, but that's not possible in these times. In a situation where we are all sort of confined at home, or we're in a pandemic and we have to limit our activities, we do have to be creative in living according to our values. So in most cases, you will have to tweak things, or you might have to find new ways to express your values. If fitness is important to you, then I think we've all seen wonderful examples of people doing things a little bit differently so that they can continue to do what matters to them. If your relationships, your family, your friends are important to you, then there are ways of connecting while still socially distancing. And of course, as I said, for people who are struggling or who were struggling before the pandemic, then I recognize that this is even more difficult. And I would say that we might have these large goals, to be fit or to have, friends and connect with people. And if we're struggling, then I think it's important to be able to try to maybe divide our goals into smaller, more manageable steps. If it's difficult to, work out, for example, for 30 minutes, well, then maybe that goal is not appropriate. If maybe it's not necessary to set it that way. So is it possible to maybe just have a goal of having a 5-minute workout session or a 10-minute workout session? It doesn't have to be exactly as it used to be for you. So start small and build gradually. Other things that are helpful to motivate ourselves is, I think research supports this, is that when we see things visually, that can be motivating for us. So if you have a calendar or if you have a journal, you might want to write what are your values, what do you care about, what are going to be your objectives or your goals. And for example, in a calendar, you can write down, I did 5 minutes here of this, or I made this call. And then so, gradually you'll see not only your progress, but you're going to see how active you are. And that's going to be good feedback for you. You're going to have a much stronger sense of who you are in doing that. It's important also to understand that all of our activities are essentially composed of a chain of behavior. So, using the example of fitness, for example, if I'm sitting on the couch and I'm thinking, I have to, or I want to do like 30 minutes of jogging, and then my thoughts probably start thinking, I don't feel like it. I'm really comfortable where I'm at. I should probably stay on the couch. Well, instead of focusing on the workout that you want to be doing outside, why don't you focus on the shoes that you need to put on? So just go and get those shoes. You're not committing to anything else than getting those shoes. And then you want to commit to maybe dressing up for jogging. And then you might want to commit to getting that music, the headphones that will allow you to listen to your favorite music when you jog. And you know what? Doing those first few steps typically allow you to then follow through on the rest of it. Don't be afraid of asking for some support from your coworkers, support from your friends. Most of us are dealing with very similar issues with motivation and probably feeling a little bit helpless in this situation. That's really normal. So maybe start a new activity online and have another friend do it with you, or in parallel. There's ways of doing that while still socially distancing. Another way to reduce our avoidance is to practice mindfulness. When we're being mindful, or for practicing mindfulness, we're essentially allowing our thoughts and feelings to be what they are in that moment, and to accept them with compassion and less judgment. So that's a great way of training your mind also to have focus and to reduce avoidance. And lastly, I would just really strongly encourage everyone, myself included. I'm sure that all of us are probably drinking a little bit more than we normally would, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. However, if you find yourself to be drinking alcohol or using substances because you're bored or because you want to reduce anxiety or feel better, then that might lead to an avoidance trap, and that might lead that gap between who you are and who you want to be to widen. So just be mindful of that, recognize it for what it is, and try to find alternative ways to support yourself.